having Vietnamese food and really immersing myself in that culture. It reminds me of who I am. I'm Vietnamese AF. I'm Tway Nguyen, and this is how I holiday. I've always wanted to learn how to cook for myself because I love to eat. So I decided to go to culinary school. I was actually working in the kitchen space. I was on the line and it made me really unhappy. So I walked away and I had time to just start making content, and that just popped off.
This dish is called trứng yum nước mắm. Let's make mắm xào. Chef's kiss.
Tway to bae goes all the way back to when I was in high school, because around that time bae was like a big thing. It just flowed really well and I've just kept it ever since. I think I just give off that like big sister vibe, so then people just like gravitated towards that. That's why I decided to name my very first pop-up Chị Hai, because it was kind of like coming over to your big sis house and she always got good food, you know, so. But I grew up in a small town in Vietnam. It's called Vũng Tàu. Life was very simple. It was always catered around family. Like everybody would go over to my grandpa's house and eat. We just love to eat. And when we do holidays, it's kind of like a potluck almost. We bring different dishes like egg rolls, fried rice, noodles. You will never catch my family bringing a turkey to Thanksgiving. Like there's just no way. So today I'm going to be making Togethxr. Hi, can I get 2 pounds of pork belly? Thank you. This is a traditional Vietnamese dish that we eat for Lunar New Year. It's meant to give you luck. Garlic. If you don't put garlic in your food, I don't trust you. This is it. But it's really just like a part of the quintessential Vietnamese meal. So this is like the most basic ingredients for Togethxr. For the Togethxr, I am using pork belly, fish sauce, garlic, and shallots, of course, sugar, eggs. And then for the marinade of these fish sauce wings, I use equal parts fish sauce and equal parts sugar. Usually I like to marinate it like overnight or at least 24 hours, but an hour or two, it'll be fine. So I'm gonna just mince my shallots, but I'm gonna make cuts across first and then horizontal cuts. This makes your life so much easier because look, you just gotta go straight down, mince shallots. And then my guy right here, garlic. Don't ever get the pre-minced garlic. It just loses everything. It's like garlic, but not garlic at the same time. Put the garlic in with the shallots. Okay. The pork belly, I'm just cutting it into bite-sized pieces. So I love to have that perfect bite. For example, this right here is like the perfect bite for me. So I'm gonna take half of the shallots and half of the garlic and put it in here. And then 2 tablespoons of sugar. This was actually really difficult to share like recipes online because a lot of times Asian moms, they don't measure, they don't do anything. They just know how to cook. This is going to be marinating for about like 15-30 minutes. While we wait for this, we're just going to boil some eggs. The perfect egg, 7 minutes, okay? Vietnamese words that you should know. All the ones that I tell my friends are bad words. If you have a Vietnamese girlfriend and you go over to her house, to her mom, you have to say chào cô, and to her dad, you either say chào bác or chào chú. The greetings in the Vietnamese culture, like there's no respect after not saying hi. Yeah. So while that is going, and this is the sugar. So the pork belly is going to have like a really caramelized brown color. So I'm gonna add in my onions and garlic. I'm gonna drop the meat in. Okay, so I'm adding black pepper to this because it adds like a really nice like nutty spice instead of like a spicy spice to the dish. Just gonna let this cook for about 15 minutes. When I came over here, I was 8 years old, didn't know a single word of English. I didn't have a lot of friends, so I watched a lot of TV, watched a lot of like SpongeBob and Anthony Bourdain. So like that's where I probably learned English. Anthony Bourdain, he's the guy that really like inspired me to get into food, but get into food in a way of like looking at food differently. He looks at food as like a bridge that connects to other people and to other culture, and that's what I really admire. So usually I can just drop the wings in and they will taste just fine, but today I want to give it more textured. So I'm gonna be coating it in AP flour, which is all-purpose flour, and cornstarch. I don't think I'm gonna season this flour though, because you gotta be careful when working with fish sauce, just in knowing like when enough is enough. All right, dropping it in the oil now. That fish sauce smell is really crazy right now, but promise y'all it's really delicious. Whenever people think of chefs, they think of men. There's definitely a double standard, but it's like, that's people's perception. I literally cannot change their perception. So it's like, I know who I am, I know what I do, I know what I bring to the table, and that's that. Fish sauce wings, and then this braise. Look at this color. I'm very pleased with this color. This is literally just shredded carrots and daikon, equal parts vinegar and sugar. And you pair this with everything. You will never catch me slipping with no rice. I will always have rice on me, and it will always be jasmine rice. This would be what my Thanksgiving dinner would look like. Wings and something traditional. You can never go wrong with that.
Chef's kiss.
There's so much more to Vietnamese food than just pho and banh mi's. And for the longest time, I kind of dreaded talking about pho and banh mi's or even making it because of that reason. But then I started to do my own research, and the history of just like the baguette itself is insane, because the French actually brought that over, but the Vietnamese people weren't allowed to eat it because we were viewed as less than. But when they left, we took that and turned it into our flavors, into what we love, and it created like this masterpiece that's known all around the world, and I think that's so iconic. I know when I've made it and I'm super satisfied with where like all of my work has brought me is if I'm able to open a restaurant in Vietnam, specifically Vũng Tàu, so I can provide jobs for my family that's living over there. That's like the end goal for me.